welcome to another episode of The Billy Ho Show. When I was 17, I bought my first vehicle. This is after the little NZ motor scooter that I bought, and that was a Bradford truck. I think it was about a 1946 Bradford truck, and it cost me £50, and we drove it all over the place and had a wonderful time with it. It says 70 miles an hour on the speedo, and we got it once. We were going down this hill with the tailwind, and it got up to 70 miles an hour, touching the little thing at the end of the speedo, and we were very pleased about that. And after we got to the bottom of the hill, we were back to 40, which is pretty much where it went along at 40 miles an hour, no worries at all. But anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that my first vehicle was a Bradford truck. Now, we're going to pop out to have a look at a Lamborghini my mate built from the ground up. So let's join Des, and we'll hear about his Lamborghini. Well, with me is Des Adamson, and Des, welcome to our little show. And around about 2016, 100 years later, somebody decided to build a Lamborghini. And what did you think when that was suggested?
Well, I've already built one.
Oh, really?
And the one up there on the wall.
Oh, yep.
And this one, my brother rings me up on the Friday and said, right, we're coming up, we want you to build us another one. And this is the vehicle that we finished up with. It's actually the same body as that, which is a Countach, but with a lot more modification on it.
So where do you start? You've got two chassis rails and off you go, or is this a kit set? You buy all the bits and pieces and they...
When I first got into it, I went with a company that were working with fiberglass, and they were actually building a mould for the Lamborghini, and one thing led to another, and this one here, this was 28 years ago, this one here was the first one out of the mould.
Oh, okay.
That was the second one.
Right.
This one ended up in Wellington, and nothing was done about it. The chassis was built and everything. I was involved in the chassis building as well as the body building, and one thing led to another. This one came back on the market. The guys that actually bought it never did anything with it, and it sat there, and I think it got in the too hard basket because of the regulations and so forth.
Right.
You have to go through a process through the LVVTA, with the whole vehicle when you're building the vehicle, and they have inspectors out there who come in and certify the car.
As you go.
Yeah. And it's a major process. It really is. I don't think I'd do another one under the circumstances that you have to go through now. It can be frustrating, and it's a very expensive process.
Sure. So if you took the comparison of what this costs you to build and just walk in and buy a new one, what's the difference?
Well, this is a Countach, which is the original version of the Lamborghini. Well, there was the Miura, which came before this, but the Countach was their most popular car. This car, I believe, in America now, some of them are selling for around $500,000 because of their they've become a like a vintage, not a vintage, but
a collector's item.
Yeah, collector's items, and really good ones are going for big money.
Wow.
But so if you walked in to buy this car originally, I think they were around $350,000, somewhere around there when they were new.
Yeah.
Now they've gone up in price because of the availability of them.
So this is all done and on the road. So if we sold this tomorrow, would you recover the money you put into building it?
I don't know. There may be somebody out there that would pay the money, but I know Ross has already been approached.
Right.
But the guy said, well, Ross was taking it home after I'd finished building it, and he had a guy following him all the way from the track at Mary there, Hampton Downs.
Yep.
And he followed him to Otrahonga and asked him if he wanted to sell it.
So this would be, like, we've got an old Studebaker, and everywhere we go, everybody says, oh, I remember these, blah, 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 blah. Does this have the same, attractiveness to the public?
Yeah, it's actually, like we've been towing it down to Auckland to get the certification inspections done. We had to take it to the guy's factory.
Yep.
And they just about run you off the road, and you get people. Ross is towing it behind his vehicle, and he's always looking in the mirror, and he says, "Here comes another one." And you see these guys, one person in the car, driving their car with their camera out like this, filming all the way past you.
God.
And it's amazing.
So what have you got in this to create the power?
Well, it's a 2015. 6.2 litre Chevrolet. It's the LS3 motor.
V8?
Yeah, it's a V8, and it's running a Graziano gearbox, which is the Lamborghini gearbox behind it, 6-speed. The gearbox itself is also used in the RDR8s. It's the same gearbox. So it's actually a four-wheel drive box, but we're only using two-wheel drive on it.
So would you class that engine as a centre engine?
Oh, they're called mid-engine.
Mid-engine.
Yeah, mid-engines, yeah.
So it's in the middle. So
well, it's a little bit behind middle, but it's classified as a mid-engine.
So does that help with the balance of everything? Or is the front a bit light? Or?
Yeah. Well, Porsche, they run theirs the opposite way around. They have the gearbox in the front and they have the engine at the back, and so they've got to change their dynamics of the vehicle to cater for that type of car. They all drive differently, but this is running the same suspension as Porsche virtually. It's got Porsche uprights in it, except we've made up unequal length arms on it and adjustable arms. The front discs are 350 diameter, 350 millimetres, and the rear 280, I think. But everything's Porsche, apart from the struts in the front of Porsche. The suspension underneath is around it is fabricated here in the workshop. So.
Wow. So what's this made of? Is this?
Well, the main body is Kevlar carbon fibre. This is this section.
Does that mean it's light?
Yeah, and strong. You could hit it with a sledgehammer if you wanted to.
Wow.
But I wouldn't like to run into it with a modern day car. It's if they hit it, they'd come off second best.
So they stay hit.
Oh yeah. The flares and everything are all bolt on.
Yeah. Is that the same material or something?
No, it's fiberglass.
Yeah.
Polyester resin I made those out of, and shaped them all on the car using a grow foam technique. Just build a cardboard mould on the outside, box sort of thing, and you tip in grow foam and it just grows up, stays on the car, and you just shape it to what you want and then take it all off.
Tell me about the mags. Did you choose the mags?
Ross got those in from America. The
Right.
one-offs, you won't see any mags like that. We had to get them specially made, the offset in them for the Porsche suspension, because on the Porsche suspension it's in quite close, so the wheel, to get the width to suit our vehicle, we've had to offset the rims to suit it. And they've also got spacers in there to actually help assist it as well. So.
Does it have a boot? I mean, can you carry some baggage?
Yeah, it's got a small boot in the back. You won't carry golf clubs in it unless you take them without the bag.
Hang them up out the window.
Apparently what they do with the genuine article, they just either tip everything into the boot, or have another vehicle that follows them around, or stick it in soft bags and they will fit in the boot.
So you can squash them into the corners. Do whatever it is you have to do. Yeah. So that windscreen with a one wiper does everything.
Yep. Yeah, that's the windscreen is a genuine screen that came in from America. We had one here, but it was quite an old windscreen. It was a lot thinner than that one. That's quite a thick windscreen. So
sure.
They're very expensive to buy. The genuine windscreen, we quoted on one, and it was around $19,000 just for the windscreen. That one there is a aftermarket one, and it's around about $3,500.
God. Yeah. So tell me, have you had it to Hampton Downs and raced and seen how fast it would go?
No, we haven't. Well, the only track we've taken it to is Pukekohe, and we didn't really open it up because we were still sorting things out. We were calibrating the speedo, getting that all correct and everything. But it's. I think if you opened up properly, had a decent road, it would surprise even the driver, I think.
So it says 200 miles an hour. Is that your number plate? You think it's capable of that?
It'll get very close to it. Yeah.
Wow.
I think they're putting out, was it 400 and something horsepower, Ross? 450 something horsepower standard. So you could twin turbo the engine if you wanted to and get a lot more horsepower out of them. But
why would you? You can only do
you can only do 100 kilometres an hour.
Here and there, but the majority of it's 80. All these signs and roads.
They're changing it all now. So.
Yeah.
I think it's the slow guys down like the lights and everything. That one there up there has got the pop-up lights.
Oh right, yeah.
And we went away from that and used the solid headlights. All these cowlings come off. You can take them all off and take the headlight out. Adjust the headlight, do what you want to do. So you don't have to physically get under the car to do anything with the lights.
Right. Well, you couldn't get under it. You have to be a mouse to get under there.
Oh, you take the wheel off, and there is a inspection hole there, but it's not.
Well, I think this is just absolutely amazing what you've done, and you've done it twice. So I think you're a very talented man, young Des, and congratulations on putting this
together. Forget
the
young bit.
Well, you're younger than me. And I hope Ross, your brother, absolutely gets huge enjoyment out of it.
Oh, he likes all the little old ladies that come up and want to take pictures of it.
Good on you, mate.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you. There you go, folks. Des Adamson and his beautiful Lamborghini. Milburn Lime, every time. Milburn Lime, available all over the Southland District and beyond. Top grade lime that's been available year after year. Call them on 03 417 8228. The next time you need lime, think Milburn Lime, every time. On Saturday, November the 6th, we leave for another Bill Hohepa Old Truck Tour of New Zealand. We leave from Auckland and make our way to Wellington, cross over on the ferry to the South Island and continue down all the way to Richardson's Museum in Invercargill. Then we travel up the coast all the way to Wakefield and on to Rockville. All this and looking at old trucks as we go, as well as seeing a fair bit of New Zealand. And people will travel by minibus. So if you have an ex-truck driving dad or granddad or somebody you know, maybe this special trucking holiday treat will be just a ticket. Maybe a Father's Day surprise. If you'd like to find out more, just go to my Facebook page, Bill Hohepa's 2021 Old Truck Tour, and all the details are there. Or just email me at billhohepa@extra.co.nz. This next story is about a unique transporter we saw in the UK. Ecure Ecosse is French for Team Scotland and was a motor racing team from Scotland. The team was founded in 1952 by David Murray and mechanic Wilkie Wilkinson. This unique transporter was purpose-built and fitted with a TS3 engine. The Ecure Ecosse team raced mainly Jags, and our host Dick Skipworth and his son Chris talked to me about this very unique and very famous transporter. In fact, they even sold models of it and the Jag to go with it. So let's talk to Chris and Dick. Just looking in the back here, Chris, just like an ordinary transporter, a couple of ramps.
Right, exactly. All these ramps slide out, but say it's designed to carry two cars on top. What you do is lower this down, and it's got hydraulic lifts that lift up the top of the vehicle, so you pull a car on and
then jack it up.
Basically.
Yeah, I see you've got the lockdown pins to strap it.
Yep. And it works very, very well. I mean, it's a well thought out vehicle.
And so where do you work on the engines? Just
if you come around the side here,
yep.
It's actually going to actually open up the side for you in like a second so you can see inside. But it's got all the pictures and the plaques of the racing drivers and the history in there. So it carries its toolbox at the bottom. It's got a little power source down there as well, and it's designed for classic car enthusiasts and racing cars, really.
I see it says not for hire or reward on the side.
I think you have to do that legally in the UK.
Oh, okay. It's a private.
It's a private truck basically, and that's the way it's registered here in the UK. You can't use it for commercial purposes, really.
So the taxing and the load carrying and all the rest of it. Well.
Yeah.
Have a look down the side, folks.
Yeah.
My good-looking father.
You can see it's my son.
Richard.
Very pleased to meet you.
And there's all the famous people.
Yeah, this is the famous history of the transporter, really. This is the team, right? I think that was the team that actually developed the vehicle, Dad?
That built it in
built it.
1959.
Right.
And we were up in Scotland a few years ago, and this guy here on the right came up, and he said, I don't believe it. He said, I worked on building this vehicle in '59. I've never seen it since. He said, and then he had to go and get his old shop foreman, the guy with the bald head. And then subsequently they sent me these pictures, and they said this was our photograph in 1959 of the team that worked on it. And they sent me this, and so we tried to put original pictures down here and some of the later post-restoration pictures on the other side.
What's this?
Well, he was the designer, a guy called Selby Howgate, and he was a bit of an eccentric, and he was a Bentley enthusiast. In fact, he unfortunately killed himself in the Bentley, eventually trying to overtake something when he shouldn't have done. And but he was the guy that sort of worked it all out, how to carry three cars and how to get them up there and all that. So he was a real enthusiast, yeah.
How do you find the TS3 that powers it?
Oh, the TS3 is a wonderful engine. I mean, it's smooth, economical, always starts on the first compression. Yeah.
Can we hear it go?
Yeah. Do you want to hear it go?
Can we?
Yeah.
Awesome. Going to kick her in the guts, folks. First one. Absolutely marvellous, yeah. That's the quietest and smoothest one I've ever heard. If you've got a TS3 that runs like that, if you've got a TS3 that runs like that, folks, there's my contact details, give me a ring. That's amazing. Awesome. All right. Oh, that's marvellous.
No, it's a fantastic engine. It should have been further developed, as you know, and the TS4 would have been fantastic, I'm sure.
Would have been, and you would have been in the market for one. Absolutely, yeah.
No.
It's that TS4, that whole story that Mark's followed through while we've been here is just absolutely amazing, you know. And I think it turned out that Peter was saying there's one of the demises of everything was the factory workers and what was going on in Chrysler, that nobody seemed to care anymore. it all got complicated, so it come to the point where you bought a truck that was built on a Wednesday rather than one on a Monday or Friday, because the Wednesday everybody's at work.
yeah. Friday vehicles were never good, were they? No.
So you're still doing this?
Yeah, in fact, this coming weekend we're going to Prescott, which is a very famous hill climb near Cheltenham, and they've asked us to take this vehicle, and we'll take a couple of cars as well. But it's the classic weekend, so there'll be lots of classic cars going up the hill, the famous hill, and Sterling is guest of honour there, and so he takes people for rides or he talks to them.
He must be getting on a bit now. How old is he these days?
83.
83.
Yeah.
I know when we were kids, it was all, we're all racing out where Sterling.
That's right. He's a lovely bloke, though. He's a bit controversial sometimes, you know. I mean,
oh, good on him.
He put his foot in it recently. I don't know whether you read the papers.
No.
There's talk about ladies in Formula One. You know, there is a very good girl that's looks very promising in Formula One. But Sterling said, I don't think ladies would ever have the mental concentration to be a Formula One driver. I might see him tomorrow. I'll say, you put your foot in it there, mate.
Well, that's amazing. Well, good on you, Richard. Thank you very much for your time.
And great.
An amazing vehicle.
Yeah. Come and have a drink upstairs.
You certainly will. And just in this little area, he's got some of the cars that actually went on that truck, 3 at a time, to the race meets. Most of them are Jags, as you can see. And it is just amazing. I'm in the same room with some very, very famous racing cars. Amazing. What I've got here is a copy of Talking Trucks. This is a book I wrote a couple of years ago, and it's the history of New Zealand trucking. And it's all from the programs that I did between 2013 and 2016. I'm going to let this go for $25. So it's a special. Father's Day's coming up. So if you'd like your copy, there's my phone number, 027 277 0717. Just send me a text or email me, billhohepper@extra.co.nz to get your copy. $25 and the history of New Zealand trucks. Roger Mann has a great heritage collection in his new big shed about 3k north of Geraldine. It's not open to the public yet, but if you'd like to visit or you have a group that would like to visit, just call John on 027 246 7466. That's 027 246 7466 and he'll make all the arrangements. Roger has a fantastic collection and we know that you'll just love it. And with me is Pat Ryder, and welcome to the show, Pat.
Thanks.
And what you've got here is, I remember these sort of flying around Auckland City doing little deliveries here, there and everywhere. And a great little Thames Freighter, great name actually, sort of that's what it did, it was a little freighter of sorts, but English?
Yes, definitely English.
How long have you had it?
I bought it in 1981.
1981, that's a year or two ago.
It is, yeah.
And what year is it?
65.
Oh, okay, 1965, that's
Yep,
flash.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the last model of this, is it?
Second last.
Oh, okay.
I think they did one in 64 and that came out with a 4-speed gearbox in it. This one's got a 3-speed in it.
Oh, okay. Column change, was it?
It was column change, it's not now though.
The J2 I used to have, which was sort of, similar era, so
Right,
had
yes.
the column and change, and then I just remember the flash ones came up and they had 4 on the floor, which is... Now, as I was saying, the first thing you notice is just the amount of room in this little cab. It doesn't look all that big when you see it going along the road.
No.
Everything's where it should be. A great little instrument panel there, it's all in one.
Yeah, it is.
Were they ever in the middle? I mean...
No, not as far as I know. They
the
were always
J2s
there.
were always sort of in the middle.
These came out in front of the steering wheel. You had your speedo, you had your fuel gauge, temperature gauge, generator and high beam on that side.
So if the oil's starting to suck it, what happens then?
I'd never worked that out.
Oh, there's a little
well,
green-
there's an oil light there.
Yeah, okay. Generator, oil light and high beam.
Yeah.
Wow. Has it got a choke?
Yeah, it's behind the seat.
Of course it
The
is.
choke and the starter are behind the seat, and the lockout for the overdrive is behind the seat. So, yeah.
So what have you done to this? Oh, and that's the other thing, the dip switch is on the floor there, which
yeah.
is where I think they should be.
Very handy because you can actually have your foot on the clutch and with your heel dip the lights if anybody comes round the corner towards you.
Yeah.
Indicators on the column.
So what have you done to it? Pat?
Apart from what you can see inside, it's been fitted with an electric overdrive, splitting all forward gears.
Oh, okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, I have got the 6. I very rarely ever use low. But yeah, it splits all forward. It's got a 5.1 crown wheel and pinion in it, and the 13-inch wheels. And the wipers were
So
converted
tell
to
me
electric.
what the difference from when you got it to these improvements. Just tell me the amount of
From driving and riding, incredible. When I first got it, it was a heavy truck. You go into a corner and the big wheels, and you could feel it was a truck. Once it went onto the little wheels, and that it just totally brought it. It brought it up to basically a modern spec.
And climbing over those hills, I know you got some big hills on that west coast to go when you went.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Really?
Really was.
Market change.
Yes, exactly. Well, I wouldn't have kept it the way it was when I bought it because it struggled getting up Porter's Pass, and then it was just through a combination of people that we first put the little wheels on, and then changed to the put the gearbox and that in, and that really made a vehicle out of it.
Wow.
So much so as that I haven't actually got rid of it for all those years.
I see this little aerial. Did you used to have a radio in it?
I
or?
did at one stage.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah.
It's amazing the aerials of the time. They just screwed to the side and
Yeah.
up they went. And you had if you were young.
Some of them went through the roof. They didn't care where they put holes in those days. They just put them in.
Well, this has survived very well, I have to say. Some of the English vans. In fact, I couldn't find a J2. It took me 4 years to find one. And when I did find one, it was just right on the borderline of whether you could restore it or not.
Yeah.
But when we went to England with the Brighton one, there was one there like it just come off the factory floor, and it was just a delight to see.
There was one of these you filmed too on that parade.
Yeah, that's right. Yes,
Yeah, it was.
Just looking at the floor there, just on the floor on the passenger side, they've got a little rail that you put your feet on, and that was factory, wasn't it?
Yes, that's
Have
Sandy.
a look at that rail, folks. Yeah, look at that, and bare headlights sticking out of the front of it. So she's a pretty basic vehicle, and so at the time, what would they be worth? A bit cheaper than what else was on the market?
I don't know what they would be worth at the time, but they were chewed up by all the firms as delivery vehicles.
Yeah,
See, this one started with Cyclone Industries in Christchurch, then it went to Dominion Breweries, and then a drain layer brought it. And the only reason he sold it was that he went and bought a caravan and couldn't tow it
Oh, okay.
with this, and then I brought it.
You were telling me before that they came out with 6 cylinders.
No, they didn't come out with 6 cylinders. People in New Zealand put sixes in them. Yeah.
Oh, so it's a bit like the Ford, the Ford cost cutters. And
Right.
some of them come out with V8s,
Oh, okay. Yep.
like Pommy V8s, but they threw those out, got the Bren gun carrier V8s and put those in. But for an English Q Dodge or Q whatever it was, it just seemed amazing that there's enormous horsepower in such a little thing.
Little thing, yes. Yeah.
I was looking at your little gear stick here. It just seems that it wasn't original.
No, well, when I put the wiper in, which are out of a Mark 1 console, they fit straight in the proper hole, but they fouled the speedo cable. So to get that get the speedo cable to work, we had to move the bottom of the dash up.
Oh yeah.
And when we moved the bottom of the dash up, we fouled the gear lever, and that gear shift was sitting in the garage.
Oh, okay. So I know.
In it went.
Yeah.
And that's been marvellous. It really has.